Well, hello and welcome this afternoon. And if you are listening to the recording, welcome to you. I am Debbie Franzel from ServiceNow, and I'm really excited to be hosting today's webinar with Edwards Lifesciences and the Anti, one of my favorite partners. We are here today to talk a bit about the Edwards Lifesciences journey. Hopefully, it'll be a great learning for all of you who are interested in learning a little bit more about how to kickstart your HR transformation. Edwards has been through a great journey, and we're really excited to have Suzanna here today to share that journey with you and talk about their partnership with both ServiceNow and the Anti. Just a few housekeeping notes as we get started. Wanted to let you know that Q&A is open for your questions. We will shut down chat during the call. We'll do our very best to answer the questions in line, but we will save time at the end for Q&A as well. So just to make note of that, and if you do have questions about anything that Suzanna is sharing or anything about what you're hearing in terms of the implementation, the technology, feel free to throw that into the chat. We'll either get back to you right here and now or follow up with you afterwards. So really excited, like I say, to be here. I know everybody's very busy, especially at this time of year, closing out your year. So we appreciate you taking time to join us today. Stay with us till the end. We do have a really exciting raffle of Apple AirPods. So if you stay on, you will be entered into that raffle, and we will announce that at the very end, and you must be present to win. So just very quickly, who are we? We're going to certainly dive into Edwards Lifesciences and their journey and who they are. But just very quickly, a little bit about ServiceNow and why we're here today. Very proud to partner with Edwards and the Anti in just what we say here, making the world of work better for everyone. So our technology has been designed to really connect employees and their organizations to one another to answer the most basic questions as quickly and as seamlessly as possible, regardless of underlying technologies that are employed by that organization. As well, we're able to connect with clients' customers to make that journey a little bit easier as well. We just want to go ahead one more. Don't want to spend a ton of time on who we are and what we do, but do want to just share a little bit about the fact that we have customer workflows that are customized by individual industries, whether you're in manufacturing or retail or in healthcare. We have a solution that may work for you. And like I say, connects your employees to get the information that they need when they need it in the channel that they need it. Workflows around finance and supply chain and your basic technology workflows to really make the day of employees easier. As I mentioned, we have basic interactions built into the platform, regardless of what you use us for in those purpose-built solutions. So lots of investment in AI and Gen AI, machine learning, and things like virtual agent and chatbots to make those experiences easier. Enough about us. Let's move on to introducing our speakers and getting to talking to Edwards and the Anti. I haven't done a proper introduction of myself yet. My name is Debbie Franzel. Like I said, I'm Director of Product Marketing for Employee Workflows here at ServiceNow. Been here for about 6 years and 30 years in and around HR and employee workflows. And my favorite thing to do is really support our customers in delivering the best outcomes for themselves and for their employees. I've spent a lot of time with organizations like Edwards to deliver those outcomes. I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve together. With that, the most important part, really want to welcome Suzanna to the call and allow her to introduce ourselves and get started today. Welcome, Suzanna. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks, Debbie. Hi, everyone. I'm Suzanna Hedberg, and I'm responsible for the HR technology team here at Edwards Lifesciences. I've been at Edwards almost 8 years, but starting in the IT department here, leading our initial ITSM ServiceNow implementation. I started my career initially in management consulting, trying to save the world from Y2K, for those of you that are old enough to remember that. And my focus for all of these years have really been about global ERP implementations and a primary focus on transformations and organizational readiness. Just prior to Edwards, I actually went and dabbled into traditional IT management for local governments and law enforcement. At Edwards, after IT, was my first dabbling in HR, and I was actually part of an organizational effectiveness team, and now moving about 2.5 years ago to lead the HR technology team. We have a team of about 25 employees and some contractors, and we focus on Workday, data governance, Workday reporting, and our ServiceNow HRSD system. Brandy, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Brandy Bass, I'm a managing partner at The Anti. We are an elite ServiceNow implementation partner that is 100% focused on employee workflows. And we've completed over 300 employee workflow engagements with our customers like Edwards. I've been with The Anti for 3 years, and I serve as a partner to my customers like Edwards, helping to guide them on their employee experience transformations supported by the ServiceNow platform. I've got 15 plus years of experience in strategic consulting and implementations, and I've been working with the ServiceNow platform since the Fuji release, and I've had the opportunity to work with areas like IT service management, IT operations management, customer service management, SPM, and now I'm 100% focused on employee workflows. I was actually introduced to Edwards Lifesciences. It's been about a year and a month now through kind of an interesting personal experience. My mother-in-law actually received a transaortic valve replacement, or a TAVR, that was manufactured, really hand sewn by Edwards. And that procedure was actually October of last year. And I was able to see really firsthand the commitment that Edwards has to its patients and its family members. So it was a really cool experience, and I'm very excited to be a part of this webinar with Suzanna and get the opportunity to share more with you all what their experience and transformation has been. So Suzanna, I know I mentioned just a little bit about Edwards. Would you mind sharing with the participants today more about who Edwards is as an organization and an employer?
Sure, I would love to. So as Brandy mentioned, Edwards Lifesciences is the global leader in patient-focused medical innovations for structural heart disease and critical care technologies. So what we primarily do is we manufacture heart valves, both the kind that you have open heart surgery, so you're on a heart and lung machine and they'll sew a heart valve in, and also, like Brandy mentioned, a transcatheter heart valve. And amazing technology that a lot of patients can go home the very next day after getting a new heart valve. I personally, both being a consultant and other employees, I worked for a lot of companies in the past, and Edwards is a very unique company with an extremely strong culture and really purposeful mission, as you can imagine. And it really helps us, align our employees to what we do every day. We are the market leader in most of our technologies globally and our treatments. And in addition to the good work that we do every day saving lives, we also make it a really big mission for all employees to give back to their communities, as well as a foundation that really invests in underserved populations globally to help patients worldwide.
And I have to say, one of my favorite things about my job is that I get to meet different customers and see the various missions that they have. And you guys really do an incredible job of focusing your whole culture around that mission. And it's really cool to see it come through in your work. I know today we're focused on HR transformation. Would you mind sharing a little bit about how you've taken that mission and culture focus, and how through HR technology you've been able to support Edwards' goals?
Sure, I'll attempt at that. So really, our mission of Edwards is to be innovative. We want to be market leaders. We want to be first to market. We want to serve more patients that have unmet needs, and it's significant. We also have a trajectory of a lot of growth. Just 2 weeks ago, we announced some new clinical trials and products that don't have any competitors in the market. And so we see a lot of growth. And with that, we really needed to transform our HCM systems to support our employees and needed to modernize our technology. So we undertook an HCM implementation in 2019, and we went from a 20-year-old legacy system to Workday, and we implemented HCM, talent and performance, recruiting, and advanced comp in Workday. We also, at the time, implemented ServiceNow HRSD primarily just to support, in a limited fashion, to support our knowledge base articles in HR, as well as case management for the Workday implementation that primarily went to the HR technology team. And then COVID happened to all of us, and fortunately, our employees are critical employees, and our manufacturing never stopped. And we needed to track our COVID cases and case management way before ServiceNow had anything on the market. So we quickly were able to customize workflow for tracking, employee tracking, and it really helped us in HR, one, to manage our employees and their health and well-being, but also for the HR community to see a broader use of ServiceNow. It was user-friendly. It was easy to get information from our employees about their health and keep in touch with them. So that was a big event that happened. And then also about the same time, shortly before COVID, we really started putting more effort into execution of a new operating model. So, and I don't know if, Samara, if you're controlling the slides, if you want to go ahead a slide. So with the new operating model, we went from a high-touch culture. Our HR business partners did soup to nuts everything for our employees. And in 2019, we really started putting up pressure to create a tiered service delivery model, pillars of COEs, HR business partners, and an HR service delivery. And so about then is, and because of that shift really to the tiered service delivery model, is when we decided to partner with the Anti. And kind of like Brandy said, whenever I partner with vendors, it's really important to me that they understand what Edwards does, what we do for patients, because it's important that, you know, our payroll vendors know that the people that they're paying are sewing heart valves, and it's an honor to work here. And so I really like vendors to have that connection. So it was really nice to have that connection with Brandy right away. I just can't think of the word, but coincidentally enough, actually, we were preparing for a patient day. So this is a day that we invite patients to our campus in Irvine, California, and they get to meet the engineers that designed their heart valve. They get to meet the people that actually sewed their heart valve. So as you can imagine, it's a really emotional day, and it's also a really emotional day for employees. We have about 5,000 people here in Irvine, and they volunteer. So the Anti helped us with a campaign to sign up all of our employee volunteers. And again, it was really another opportunity for us to showcase a use of ServiceNow, but also in something different than creating cases. Or a lot of people in HR felt like, oh, we're just creating tickets like IT. So this experience of signing up to be a volunteer, we were managing a lot of information about the volunteers, and just that I think a different use case really helped us get adoption to our ServiceNow. And from there, from the work that the Anti did, helping us pull off an amazing day, and actually this picture in the background is our patients when they're coming to visit our campus. We then quickly transitioned with the Anti to support global mobility, which was a partial Workday system solution and also a heavy Excel system. And so the Anti helped us build a couple journeys, but we also included both the Workday and the ServiceNow integrations within those journeys for that to support the global mobility.
Thank you for taking us through some of your implementation journey. You mentioned quite a few strategic steps of that journey. How did you, or what process did you use to prioritize what to do and when?
So I really think it was more about prioritizing starting simple first. So it really was to the case management, like I mentioned, to support our Workday implementation and tracking the work. And then really trying to identify or trying to drive traffic to direct access. So our employees, for their Workday processes, go into Workday, and that's what they were trained to do. But with the growing of ServiceNow, what we were able to do is deep link from ServiceNow to Workday. So they didn't have to necessarily know exactly where to go. It also helped us give the option for employees to, if they know to go to Workday to start the process, or start a deep link from ServiceNow, or now they were able to connect with our HR Service Center. So the evolution of what we were doing was starting simple, getting adoption, and then also adding new functionality as we went on, so that we could utilize it, we could get metrics, we could be more efficient. Once we had the basics, and specifically our focus this past year has really been improving a lot of our knowledge base articles. We've added virtual agent to live chat to our service centers. Again, better service to support our new HR operating model, and also more improvement because now more people are using it. We're getting a lot more feedback. And so now we're probably to the point now of really focusing on more complex. We're going to be upgrading to EC Pro and then taking on onboarding, as well as looking at a lot of the Microsoft integrations and looking at seamless experience for our employees.
That's amazing. So much accomplished in the last few years, Suzanna. One of the questions we get at ServiceNow a lot, as you can imagine, I think you guys probably had it in the early days as well, is what's the level of effort to accomplish what you've already accomplished? And really, what does the ongoing state look like for your team in terms of that level of effort, and how are HR and HR technology partnering to deliver all that you have?
So I wasn't on the team for the initial implementation, but we really focused and outsourced, I would say, most of the implementation for Workday with limited internal employee resources, and same with ServiceNow. I think we've learned a lot, and a lot of lessons learned. Like I've gone through a lot of implementations, and there's always good lessons learned. And I'm not sure that Edwards or the HR department or the HR technology team really had a clear sense of understanding what it meant of the care and feeding of SaaS solutions. So they went from an on-premise. So I think that has been a journey that that we've evolved. And now the level of effort for Workday, we are almost all in-house. I think I said we have a total team of 25. I think about 20 of them are focused on Workday and Workday reports. And we do supplement with vendors. For example, we're going to be tackling more of the EU time directive with Workday. So we'll be supplementing with contractors. And in ServiceNow, we have a small but mighty team. And again, that's kind of evolved as the needs and our strategic priorities and projects have evolved. But we're trying to bring all of the knowledge in-house with supplementing for bigger projects for onboarding and staff augmentation. And this is really kind of why we're continuing the partnership with the Anti to help us from a staffing model.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
You mentioned a little bit about what's next, and you've talked just briefly about onboarding. So can we dive into that? What is next on your implementation journey?
So onboarding is a little bit scary, but prior to onboarding, what we actually have been doing with a team from the Anti is actually getting ready for our EC Pro upgrade, so that we can leverage the EC Pro functionality with Manager Hub, Candidate Hub for onboarding. So it's a precursor. And what we did is we split it up into two bodies of work and focused on our taxonomy, our HR taxonomy. So we're done with that. We should be up soon, hopefully in the next week or two, starting the actual technical upgrade to EC Pro. And what I'm really excited about this transition to the portal, I'll get to onboarding in a second, but I'm really excited about this upgrade to EC Pro. It's really our first time to transition the care and feeding of the content to our HR communications team, to our benefits team. So ability to give that content creator role in an easier to use format. I think that'll really help us keep things fresh. It also allows them, I think, better partnership as opposed to having to come to the ServiceNow team for their upgrades. Once we, or also with this upgrade to EC Pro, we do have a separate IT service portal. So from a taxonomy perspective, we'll kind of be marrying up the taxonomy from HR to IT. Again, hopefully a better seamless experience for employees. Then we're going to be focusing on onboarding and also as it relates to how does that impact the employee document management system. So again, we have Workday. It is our primary HCM. It is our HCM system, and looking at where are the good use cases for the employee documents in ServiceNow, and where does it make sense to keep them in Workday. We're not trying to rebuild Workday. We're really just trying to supplement that to the interaction experience being from ServiceNow and taking them to the right place in Workday for documents. So, so we're planning what that is. Additionally, some other projects we're looking at is to really find better solutions overall for our frontline employees. So they're the ones on the manufacturing line. They have don't have access. They're in clean rooms. They don't have access to computers. So how can we make their engagement better and keep them, giving them the information they need and access to HR and letting them save lives and sew heart valves, which is what their important jobs are. So really, how do we serve them better from an HR service delivery perspective?
I love that. You guys have such clearly defined goals. And I know we laughed a little bit about onboarding being scary, but I think proper preparation is a key step for that. If you don't mind going to the next slide. You've talked quite a bit throughout your journey of ServiceNow and Workday and how you're leveraging both systems and enabling and supporting your HR strategies and goals. And we've had a lot of customers say that part even is scary, determining what do we use ServiceNow for versus what do we use Workday for. And our team of consultants has an opinion. And part of that opinion is, one, looking at ServiceNow as more of the system of engagement and really leveraging ServiceNow to help drive experiences, while working with Workday as the system of record or system of truth for worker data and attributes, and then integrating those systems together for things like user data and HR profile data and documentation. ServiceNow is a very flexible platform. You can really personalize the experience to the employee based on who they are, what department they're in, or even their start date with an organization, where Workday is very fixed in terms of the business transactions that it supports. So things like completing an I-9 or updating tax information. And although ServiceNow consumes some of that information, some of that worker data and attributes, we've found that it's not necessary to try and recreate all of those business transactions within Workday. What's been your process, your team's process of deciding what goes where?
So similarly, I think we agree on the system of record being the Workday, and obviously we spent a lot of time early on implementing that. And now with the workflows, we are looking to ServiceNow being the system of interactions and engagement. But it's not all or nothing. Like I said, you can, if people know to go to Workday, they can go to Workday. We also, I said we're not recreating any of our Workday processes at the moment, but we have automatic integration. So we have processes that can start in Workday, and we'll create cases for our workforce administration team, for example. We also create knowledge articles that will deep link into the specific Workday screen to update, data. We also have globally, when we went live with Workday, this is probably not that uncommon, where we did global design, but really kind of implemented a US only system. And so now we do have the opportunity, especially I would say in Europe, for example, there's a lot of document types that may not be in your HCM system of record. They may be approval for a car allocation. And so there's a lot of documents that are in Excel that are on people's hard drives that are hard copies sitting around. So we will be going through, in fact, we have this past year done an assessment country by country of what documents go where. And we will probably be evaluating, are those real system of records? Are those real personnel files that we will want in Workday? But we plan on keeping Workday as really the system for HR and where we want our main information stored, and that presentation layer and the orchestration layer be in ServiceNow.
So, such helpful information for people who are going through this process. There's a question that's come in, Suzanna, that I'm going to layer in here to my next question, which is to tell us a little bit about the team. You told us before the breakdown, about 20 or so people who are focused on Workday and a handful more focused on ServiceNow. Can you tell us a little bit about not only the balance of those resources, but how are they prioritizing their work? And what guidance would you give to others? The question that's come in here, I'm not sure if you've seen it, is how have you proven value or demonstrated to your organization at large that it is valuable to bring that in-house versus outsourcing it to others? So maybe a little bit of all of that in that question there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So let me tell you a little about the team first, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about the value. We split up our Workday team somewhat recently into a build and run work. So the run focusing on the tier 3 service delivery model. I have a separate team that focuses on data governance, data management, and reporting, and then another smaller team that focuses just on integration. And then, so that's all kind of in the Workday environment, and then we have our separate ServiceNow HR team. So we prioritize based on our business priorities. So, our businesses go through their yearly strategy prioritization. Then it comes to HR. We do our strategy prioritization. And so we align all of our work to what comes out of the fall strat meeting. And those are the priority projects. Some of them have a couple years out, so it helps us plan probably 2 or 3 years out. Our biggest challenge is sequencing, getting the priorities done in sequencing. And I would say it's been a learning curve, probably both for my team as well as for our HR partners in general, to partner to deliver in a specific sequence or a specific priority. One of the challenges that we have is gathering requirements from HR partners that it takes much longer than I ever would have imagined it would. But in the meantime, we're also educating our HR partners. And I see Brandy laughing because this is where the Antis really helped us hone in on gathering requirements. And so I think it's kind of an opportunity of both gathering requirements, delivering our priorities, and really it's helped us a lot with, I think, our change management and adoption and use of technology in, quite frankly, not a very technically savvy department. So, our teams kind of evolved over the year to ask better questions before we jump to solutions. I'm also challenged as it relates to kind of priorities and building out our technology roadmap, is when things come up throughout the year, the solution is usually whoever they ask. So when they have a problem and they go to the Workday team comes up with a Workday solution, and maybe that's not always the right answer, as opposed to maybe a little bit more technology agnostic. And then maybe you go back to, is it ServiceNow, is it Workday, or is it something even different than that? I think that the other thing that we're going to need to be looking at in the future is really how AI is impacting us, our integration. We're a big Microsoft shop. So that's going to have to be another consideration that we take into account of both project priorities and staffing. I don't know if I totally answered your question about balancing priorities, but one thing I do is I've created a roadmap on this strategy, and then we quarterly review it with our COEs. Are we focused on the right thing? If something new comes up, which it always does, what do we move off of our plate? So I think we've been a lot better at ruthlessly prioritizing, which wasn't always the case in the past. I think the value to the organization, more so than ROI and cost savings, which is I have the benefit of not having to deal with that at the moment, is really the automation, the adoption. For us now, it's really moving work off of the HR business partners. So we've moved off, and it's all through ServiceNow. So it's moving off reasonable accommodations for our employees, the COVID case management, even putting that in and taking that out of the HR business partners' hands and able to manage that through cases. That is the metrics that we're showing. So we're showing metrics such as these are the tickets and cases that we're getting directly from our employees and managers and not going to our HR business partners anymore. Yep. It varies by region. Europe is slower to adopt that. So the metrics of increasing use of going through ServiceNow, direct access to Workday has really helped us. Quite frankly, more people are coming to us of, we need to automate this, we need to automate that. So we definitely have a high demand, and where we're supplementing is mainly speed. And actually, quite frankly, some of it is ability to find good resources.
Right. Definitely a challenge I'm sure resonates with many on the call. We hear that a lot. But thank you for sharing that. And I do think you answered the question in terms of prioritization and value. And even in speaking about Europe, right, it's a little bit different than what's happening in the Americas. And that's going to be true for any organization moving forward. What's important to you or to a different group is going to be different. So additional question just about prioritization, Suzanna. We often hear when you have multiple platforms in play, in your case, Workday and ServiceNow, we're going to be coming at you. It's time for a new release. How are you managing the multiple releases a year between these two platforms and any other technologies that you have in-house today?
Well, we have a lot of technologies. We also support a lot of our payroll systems, our time tracking systems. So primarily with Workday and ServiceNow, we are responsible for Workday. So we plan the releases when Workday sends out the notices. We do a thorough process of identifying employee impact for different features, what we want to include in the upgrade, what we don't want to opt in and opt out of, and then we do regression testing and change management. So we really Workday controls the upgrade, but we kind of control that process and work backwards for upgrades. ServiceNow, even though the IT team is a separate team, they have a different service portal, they own our enterprise system. So IT really sets the timing of our ServiceNow upgrade. We only do one ServiceNow upgrade every year. So we'll be doing it. So we'll take on 2 releases for every upgrade. I would say this year was challenging because, you kind of showed a small picture of all of the projects that we've got going on. We have a lot of development, a lot of changes going on, and I think that they have fewer changes in their ServiceNow instance, and so they were interrupting some of our projects. So it's definitely an opportunity, and I think we learned a lot coordinating with IT this year. But that's kind of where we get the timing of managing ServiceNow. And then, like I said, kind of in a lot of those projects, we also have the integration of Workday to ServiceNow for automatic case creation and other functionality, global mobility. So those we do have to get both teams involved to do a lot of the regression testing and change management communication for both of the upgrades.
Great, very, very helpful. Thanks for sharing all of that.
So kind of continuing the theme to the next topic, but again, along the same theme with onboarding and offboarding. This is an area where a lot of our customers, again, are challenged on how do we leverage these two systems to support a comprehensive onboarding experience for new hires that really helps to improve the experience overall. And our team of consultants, again, has an opinion. We do have an ebook with this slide included, and we'll put a QR code up in a couple of slides. So if you guys want to download that, you can. But I would like to take a moment to sort of explain the team's experience. Hopefully I'm not leading the witness, Suzanna. But starting on the left-hand side, we firmly believe that ServiceNow should be leveraged in onboarding, again, and offboarding to help drive the overall experience. And as an enterprise solution, this can start with HR experiences and things like attending a new hire orientation, even signing legal documents, et cetera. But again, focusing on those experiences that are enabled or supported by HR, to facilities experiences like requesting a parking badge. Requesting a badge or a parking space. And one of my favorite experiences of working with Edwards so far was the opportunity to visit the Irvine, California campus. And you mentioned your patient experience day, but that's a huge benefit to the Irvine-based employees. The campus is absolutely beautiful, and it's set up in a way that encourages moments of interaction that breed innovation throughout the campus. So that, again, facilities experience is a really positive aspect of onboarding. So leverage ServiceNow to help build that or present it in the process. We also typically see IT experiences as central to onboarding. So things like provisioning systems access or doing systems training for a new hire and really helping them to get to productivity, making sure that they have their equipment and their access on day one. And then another component of the onboarding experience is the leader experience. So it could be anything from a welcome video from a senior leader to assigning a new hire buddy and making sure that that new hire knows who they can go to for support throughout their first few days, weeks, even months as a new team member. One of the common challenges that we see that is actually solved for by ServiceNow is, where is my team member, where's my new hire at in their overall onboarding journey? It can be a little bit confusing. I know as a hiring manager, you want to know how close are they, where are they at in the process, and what do they have left? So a lot of that, again, it goes back to ServiceNow serving as a system of engagement to help drive that workflow. On the right side of the slide are some of the Workday HR transactions that support an onboarding event. Some of those more transactional items like updating direct deposit information, going through the background check process, or updating government IDs. In the middle are three options that we like to consider to bring that overall experience together and make it comprehensive. So starting with the first option, and Suzanna, you referenced this earlier, and that's with deep links. So allowing the new hire to work within ServiceNow, see what activity they need to complete next. And if it is an HR transaction, deep linking them into Workday, letting them complete the transaction in Workday, and then go back to ServiceNow and mark it as complete and progressing their workflow. Second option adds a little automation to that, and it's having the new hire, again, work within ServiceNow on their activities, link out to Workday to complete that HR transaction, but have Workday through an integration push that status back to ServiceNow, automating the task completion and progressing the workflow. The third option, also the costliest option in terms of effort and maybe technical debt, is really rebuilding some of those business transactions within ServiceNow, so that the employee stays within ServiceNow, or the new hire rather, stays within ServiceNow, they complete the transaction, and through an integration, we push the data updates back to Workday as that system of record. There's obviously differing levels of complexity. And when it comes to that third option, I think the most important question for our customers to ask themselves and answer is the juice worth the squeeze? I think Workday comes pre-configured with 800 plus transactions. That's a lot. And they're very purpose driven. So we usually recommend, if you're going to go with option number 3, really take a deep look at what are the most highly utilized transactions that are affecting the most diverse group of team members, and consider those first versus trying to tackle everything at once. And really consider not only the time to implement that as part of your configuration, but ongoing future maintenance of that. Is it worth the squeeze? So hopefully I didn't lead the witness too much, but you've mentioned that you're doing some preparation efforts to plan for onboarding and offboarding to support Edwards. How are you and your team looking at these integration options as you consider implementing onboarding in ServiceNow?
So we've been thinking about it for a while, and actually, as it relates to onboarding, we do have the onboarding tasks in Workday already, and I also have IT. They have a lot of order guides, so they have a lot of things that support onboarding to order your PCs, get your badges. So there's already pieces and pockets of the onboarding process in ServiceNow, in Workday. And so one of the things that we did to start our thinking and kind of help frame a plan is to, and actually we engaged with the anti. So one thing we were looking for is what should we do? What should we be thinking about? How should we partner? And so what we did is, with your team's guidance and their Workday experience as well, it was really important to have kind of a neutral third party. In my own head, I wasn't sure. IT really wants to have an efficient process, a lot of automation. And one of the things I was interested about, the candidate experience, the manager experience, the efficiency of the workflow. And I wasn't sure, do we have to do all one or the other? And also, we don't have an IT and HR governance at the moment. And so it really was an opportunity, using Workday or using onboarding as a specific example, to bring us together to really identify what our business needs are, what our goals are that they want, our goals that we want. And I think you mentioned this, we weren't just looking at onboarding, because offboarding also is a big pain point for IT, and also even actually HR. So with you guys, we actually had a lot of stakeholder interviews. Like I said, what our business cases are. We interviewed the integrations team. What does this look like? I will say we also are leaning towards what you said about option 1, which is we're not rebuilding Workday. There are opportunities in our onboarding projects where we have to clean up some of our Workday tasks right now, and we've been undergoing those. For example, I think in Costa Rica, we were having the Workday tasks. They were like 15 tasks, but only 7 of them were really pertinent to Costa Rica. So we've been streamlining, going along some of the workflow, or some of the specific tasks we need to do. Sometimes in some countries, they weren't entering their bank information into Workday. So we've built integrations out to payroll systems. So we've slowly been building out more of our processes, but that due diligence, and I think we called it business discovery, that we did with your team, really helped us identify, we're aligned on the processes. These are the biggest goals that we have for our business. And then we actually went through kind of options of deployment. We could make this a very large and very long project. We looked at globally, we looked at regionally, we looked at global design, regional deployment. So one of the things that Greg helped us do from your team is really kind of do the pros and cons of each of the deployment methods. We did this due diligence, I think I forgot to say, we did this due diligence with a pretty small team of just my team, HR technology and IT, just to make sure we had alignment. And what we're doing now is socializing that plan, bringing in the experience team from HR, the branding team from HR, facilities also may not be part of phase one. I think they want to be, but maybe they will be. So I think that it gives us the opportunity to have something together to go to our stakeholders to say, this is kind of our goals. This is where we think we've aligned, and now getting input as opposed to starting with all of the impacted stakeholders, which you can imagine is extremely large, and then building from it. So it allows us to kind of take a pitch deck and get a lot of feedback of what do we want, what are we missing now, and then what's our plan. So, like I mentioned earlier, we're upgrading to EC Pro, so it's giving us a little bit of time to start getting challenged, like getting this plan challenged. What else have we missed? And so that's what we're doing now. It's right now based on that business discovery work of this is what we plan to have in Workday. This is what we plan to have in ServiceNow. And I mentioned earlier about the employee document management system. There's a lot of things happening in Europe, country by country, that in my mind, this isn't all planned out yet, but in my mind is we start small and we get a specific use case. And we start implementing that in conjunction with our onboarding. And really, the goal is to getting the country HR managers that we have not using paperwork and having a source of record. And also, one of our many pain points, but one of our pain points specifically in Europe is we have people filling out papers, plus inputting their data in a payroll system, plus updating some things in Workday. So I think just that orchestration of single data entry, there's an integration where there needs to be, there's not unnecessary things, and we're not tracking things on paper. Again, all of that, back to kind of justifying our team and in-house, all of that helps us move work into our HR service center, move work off of HR country managers, and let them focus on what they should be doing. And so that's what we're having a lot of discussions and planning what that best approach is now with our stakeholders.
So Suzanna, as we get towards the last few minutes of the call here, I want to switch to lessons learned. You've just shared an amazing amount of information and really so much about what you've accomplished at Edwards. We do want to focus just a little bit about what are kind of the top things that you've learned in this journey that you're applying as you move forward. For me, just working with you, I would like to just say, I love the fact that you are analyzing and asking questions and including stakeholders around the organization, but at the same time, not letting that slow your progress. I think we often see analysis paralysis kick in. You're asking those questions, you're including people, you're recognizing when you have opportunity to do something new, but you're not saying, let's stop until we've boiled the entire ocean. You actually continue to make progress, even though you know there's more ahead. So kudos to you and your team for doing that. Amazing lesson, I think, for everyone to learn from you and from your team. So with that, let me ask you, what are the things that you are most proud of and that you'd like to share with others?
I'm most proud of just the team and the evolution. I mean, we really have learned a lot, and as a personal skills development on the team, broadening our scope and our understanding. I also am really proud of that the HR team are becoming more savvy. So about implementing and moving relatively fast, although sometimes it doesn't feel that fast, is it's really has allowed the HR team to see the art of the possible. And when they see it in one use case, they're able to kind of transition. I think some of our really big lessons learned is allowing teams to orient to the ServiceNow platform. One of the things we've done with the Anti in our current projects is before we start gathering requirements from them, is showing them the art of the possible. Let me show you how this works. And I think that we weren't necessarily always doing that show and tell. And also really identifying, or maybe not identifying, maybe planning for time to gather requirements. The whole concept of ServiceNow for my stakeholders is brand new. The concept of creating stories and epics and working in sprints, that's also that the Anti team really has helped my team, well, and they've been enforcing it. So that's been really helpful. And we're getting better. So as we're bringing in more HR teams into workflows, we're about ready to launch one for needs assessment for our learning and development team. So the cadence is starting to pick up a little bit. We also, I think for us, really making time to do localization and support our global HR teams. I think I said when I mentioned our Workday implementation, we may have gathered the global requirements and then we kind of left off the care and feeding of how to implement those localizations and leveraging technology. Now we're able to build out, I have a 12-month roadmap that I've had for a while. Now I'm able to look forward maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years of really what we're trying to accomplish. And one thing that actually Greg did from the Anti that helped us also is I have a deep expertise in Workday team. I have a deep expertise in ServiceNow team, and they don't necessarily know how each other works. So one of the things Greg did early on when we first started with the Anti is, again, he's done both. He's done Workday and he's done ServiceNow. So he was able to speak the talk of now where best do solutions go. And so we're still working on that. But that's also, I would spend more time, and I have spent more time of, this is where the bright spots are on each of the technology and getting the team to kind of lean into maybe the technology you love and take care of. Maybe that's not the best solution for our business.
And one that I'd like to add, and it's hopefully everyone that's attending today has kind of heard the theme, but with your team in particular, you guys have taken great care to think big, start small, and move fast. And I know it doesn't feel like you're moving fast all the time, but you guys have had an incredible journey. And the really neat thing to see is every time we've taken a step back and said, okay, how does this support the patient? How does this enable Edwards' strategic goals? And you mentioned like your annual HR strategy goals, those peak projects. We've always looked at, okay, what can we do? What's the art of the possible within that? And now where can we start? And you've started small and you've gained a lot of traction and momentum. And I think that's really helped you also attain adoption and start to get more buy-in from your HR customers. And again, moving fast, you talked about a lot of your large projects, like even the talent mobility project. That was a pretty big undertaking. And while you were doing that, your team was still able to iterate and provide more regular releases of enhancements and new functionality that didn't require a larger project. And not all of our customers can say that. So you and your team have done an awesome job of keeping that consistent theme throughout all of the efforts that we've seen so far.
Thank you.
Very well said, Brandy. With that, I do want to leave just a minute if there are any questions that anybody wants to come off of mute and ask Suzanna. I think she's done a fantastic job. Thank you, Suzanna. Thank you, Brandy, for this great information and webinar today. I hope it's been helpful for all of you who've attended and who listen to this later. Any questions, please come off mute or feel free to put them in the Q&A. If not, Brandy, for those of you who are still on, Brandy's going to announce our AirPod winner here in just a second, but has a few other things to share as well.
Thank you. While we're waiting for questions, if there are any, I did promise the ebook. So if you are interested in that, feel free to scan the QR code, and that will give you access to download the ebook. Debbie did mention
I highly recommend this, even if you are not on
you.
Workday. I know some of the folks listening are probably on SAP or PeopleSoft or SuccessFactors or Oracle. This is an amazing, it's an amazing workbook and article, white paper, whatever we want to call it, ebook. You call it an ebook. I'm old, but it's amazing for just how do these systems play together. So I would highly encourage you to take a peek at this ebook. Thank you to the Anti and to Suzanna and Edwards Lifesciences for this information and for the time today. Really appreciate the story and the partnership from both of you. And thanks to everybody who attended and listened today. Please reach out if you have any other questions. Have a good rest of your day.